kick off this conference a little raw, a little real. Is that okay? Because we're going to deal with us today before we do anything else. And I titled this speech, Out of the Shadows, because it's time for us to come out of the shadows and become everything that we were created to be. Everything that we can be. I made it about this because you're going to get a whole bunch of teachings on how to grow your business. You're going to get a whole bunch of teachings on technique and skills and all of those things throughout the weekend. But right now, I don't want to talk about that yet. I want to talk about us. I want to talk about focusing on us first. Getting ourselves in that place where we can stop being intimidated, stop feeling like we don't belong in the room, stop feeling like we don't deserve to be here, and just step up and say, I belong here. I made it here and I belong here. So I want to talk to you about coming out of the shadows. And I've quoted this person before, but Marianne Williamson said, as we let our light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence actually liberates others. You are liberating other people by just showing up today. So I want to shatter a myth. Is that okay? I want to shatter a myth. It's a myth that I saw growing up. It's a myth that I even saw in ministry world. It's a myth that I've even seen in the Optavia world. And it's a myth that says that we have to have it all together in order to be a success. That we have to have everything, giftings, talents, abilities in order to grow anything. Can I tell you that when we came into this, we knew nothing about what we were doing. So it's time to be mythbusters today because the world needs authentic change agents, and that's what you are. Authentically change agents, because the world doesn't need another self-help, look at me, I'm a big deal person. Can we all agree about that? We don't need somebody showing up thinking it's all about them. Because I can tell you, I heard a friend say, I've built more authentic relationships with people by being open about my struggles and my fears than I ever could pretending to be something that I'm not. Pretending to be perfect. Can I tell you it's too exhausting to keep up a facade of perfection? It's just too exhausting. So for everyone here who's ready to rescue lives, grow a business, and develop you, then welcome to Awaken, because that's what it's going to be about. So I want to ask you today, are you a shadow dweller? Have you been just dwelling in the shadows, shrinking back? This is what it means to be a shadow dweller. It means that somewhere along the line, along the way, you began to believe that you needed to stay hidden, that you needed to shrink back and hide in the shadows. Living in the shadows is sometimes a protection mechanism. Hello? I have done it many times in my life. It can be brought on by simply thinking that other people deserve to be seen more than you do. That other people deserve to be heard more than you do. But what if I told you today that today is your time to be seen? It's your time for your voice to be heard. It's time for your vision to go to the next level. It's time for no sitting in the back seat anymore, but time to get in the driver's seat and create a life that you can love for your family and for future generations. See, we need to be the light and not the reflection. John Steinbeck said, it's so much darker when a light goes out than it would have been if it had never shone. So you that are in here, you've got to keep pushing. You've got to keep going forward, because if your light goes out, it brings so much more darkness than if you had never shone in the beginning. But I want to talk to you about 4 ways to come out of the shadows. And I need y'all to get excited today, because this is going to be a powerful day for everyone. There's 4 ways to come out of the shadows. And that first way, and these are things that I had to do myself personally. But number 1 is realize your identity needs to be restored. You need your identity restored. Maybe somewhere along the line, your mirror of who you thought you were got shattered. In other words, maybe you don't like who you've become. Maybe you don't like who God created because you have not lived up to the potential that He had placed inside of you. Maybe your self-image had been damaged. I spent so many years wondering what I was supposed to do, wondering who I was supposed to be, trying to live up to everyone else's expectations of who I was supposed to be. The perfect this, the perfect that, walking this way, walking that way. I had to come to a place in my life where I just had to look up one day and say, you know what? I'm going to have to follow what I know God has for me. And I am realizing that well-behaved women rarely make history. So it's time to shatter the myths, to rattle the cage, to make some noise so that people's lives can be changed. See, I always knew I was created for more. But if we're all honest, most of us settled for helping other people reach their dreams rather than our own. And the fact is that all of us are broken pieces. Areas where we would rather just sweep them out the door, where we would rather just sweep them under the rug. But instead, how about we take all of those broken pieces and we glue them all together and become the most beautiful mosaic that anyone has ever seen before, that light can shine through us. See, I have fought so hard in my life to find my voice, to find my strength, to find my purpose in the midst of chaos and noise. And now that I've found it, I will not remain silent, so that others don't feel intimidated by my courage and my strength, because that serves no one. See, my story and my journey is a map of freedom for other people. And that beautiful mosaic created from those broken pieces in my life allowed the light of hope to shine so others can find their light and their hope and their voice as well. The second thing we need to defeat is the imposter syndrome. Some of you are sitting here right now and you think, I don't belong in this room. But have you ever just walked in the room? I have, and felt like, how in the heck did I get here? How did I make it in this room? See, Pat and I are part of Optavia's leadership team, and when I walk into that room in those meetings, I immediately have to deal with self-doubt and feeling like a fake and feeling like an imposter. It's the analysis of paralysis, and I have to shake it off, and I have to remember the fraud alert is going off, and my inner voice begins to scream, you need to run, you need to get out of this room, you don't belong here. But then I realized I have felt this before. If people only knew just how afraid I was, if people only knew that I feel so incompetent, that I feel unqualified to even be here. But see, we've all felt that way at times. And can we just go ahead and shatter the false perfection and perception of it? We all create an avatar that hinders us from being who we were meant to be. And that hinders us from reaching the people who need to be seeing the real us. We're not perfect. We're just real. We're just in pursuit of more. See, have you ever felt like a fraud? Then you're in great company. You're not a fraud. The real frauds are the ones who think they have it all together, because it's going to run out eventually. See, our favorite coaches are the ones that come to us and say, I'm not going anywhere. I'm sticking it out. I may not be qualified, but I'm in it for the long run because I see a future and a legacy that I can leave for my kids and my grandchildren for generations. See, the world needs is someone that is willing to step forward from the shadows and say, it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy teaching myself to be an extrovert when I am 100% introvert. It wasn't easy overcoming my fear of public speaking. It wasn't easy walking through a cancer diagnosis until God radically healed me. But guess what? I'm still here. You're still here. You have a story that needs to be told. It's time. That's what this business is all about. It's about overcoming and stop settling and realize, become unapologetically courageous in your pursuit to become more. The third thing is we need to become a master of authenticity. It gives people permission to change Make your flaws your calling card. Your authenticity will make other people want to go on the journey with you. Can I just tell you that people will follow perfection for a season, but they will follow authenticity for a lifetime. And that's what you need to be. Because see, you can look across this room and see some of the top coaches in this company. And they did not come in here with their nose up in the air, or at least they shouldn't have. Because they realize they did not get there alone. They realize that they didn't get there, and definitely not without a struggle and a story. They joined forces with other broken pieces to become a community of health that was bringing hope. Number 4, decide to make your dash count. Determine that you will die with nothing left to do. The only regrets will be the opportunities that I did not seize. That's why I began to fall in love with the sound of my feet walking away from those things that no longer serve my future. Because life is an adventure, and I'm embracing every part of that journey. You get this one life. Nelson Mandela said, there is no passion to be found in settling for a life that is less than the one that you are capable of living. Because the dash on your tombstone should mean something. When you don't feel worthy, you step up. When your voice of your past failures are screaming, you keep going. When others are more qualified, guess what? You work harder. And when rejection comes, you realize that it's protection. And even when the list goes on, you just decide to step up and push through and press on. Helen Keller said this, character cannot be developed in ease and quiet. Only through experience of trial and suffering can the soul be strengthened, ambition inspired, and success achieved. I remember when I first started dreaming. And I want to share that with you, and I may get a little emotional, because it wasn't when I began to travel and speak, even though that was a great accomplishment. It wasn't when I became an author and started writing books, even though that felt like an accomplishment. It wasn't even when Pat and I became IPD. I started dreaming in the lowest part of my life in a place of despair, when I was so weary and I was so tired. And I deeply desired to have a second child. And I was in the darkest place because the doctors couldn't figure out why we couldn't have another child. And I so desperately wanted to have that second child. And for years we had tried. But you see, I wasn't despairing of life. See, sometimes you have to be authentic and say, I know where you're at. I've been where you're at. I know what depression feels like. I know what discouragement feels like. And Solomon said this, a dream comes when there are many cares, and many words mark the speech of a fool. Can I tell you, sometimes in your despair, in your darkest moments, you just have to be quiet, because there's a dream on its way. There's a dream that's waiting on you on the other side of your victory. And one night I had a dream. And in that dream, I had a dream of a child in another nation. And I heard in my dream, God spoke to me and he said, Karen, you're in a ship and it's sinking in the middle of the ocean. And I want to ask you, your ship is going down, and what's going to keep you alive? And I'm going to be really authentic and honest and say in that moment, I don't know that I wanted to survive. And then I looked over and my son was in that ship with me. And I said, I'll stay alive to make sure he survives. And in that moment, God spoke to me in my dream and he said, exactly, in your despair, rescue someone else and you yourself will be saved. Some of you are looking for purpose in your life. And it's all about not being about you, but understanding that it's about others whose destiny needs to be produced in their life. Can I take you back to that moment and show you this video? It took almost 2.5 years in that darkness and that despair to adopt our beautiful daughter, Abby, who is 20 years old now. But that's the day I started dreaming. And everyone says, oh, how amazing that you rescued her. And I quickly respond to them, no, we thought that's what was happening. But in all honesty, she rescued us. She rescued us and caused us to start dreaming again, to start looking beyond ourselves. It's not all about you. It's about others whose purpose needs being revealed. So I want you to watch this video real quick with me and realize how many of you are ready to look beyond yourself to those whose destinies are waiting on you. That's what hope looks like. And that's what dreams becoming a reality looks like. Don't give up on your dreams so that you can live the rest of your life with purpose and passion and destiny. This was the day that we saw our dreams fulfilled. And our life was forever changed, and it created in us an ability to see beyond the now, to see a future of hope and purpose. How many of you are ready to start dreaming today? How many of you are ready to not put your dreams aside, but to start believing in them, that you will see them fulfilled? Where's my beautiful angel? Come on out here on the stage. This is what hope looks like, and this is what dreams fulfilled looks like.